One of the questions I have is, knowing that you exist in the realm you exist in, whatever realm that is, difficult for me to understand a little.
Not from your broader perspective.
Not from my broader perspective. What I want to know is, do you, I don't know whether you'd see like with eyes or something.
Do you think it's possible to know something that you can't put words to?
Yeah.
So you think it's possible to have knowing that you can't necessarily get thoughts around or verbalize?
Yeah, I believe that. What I want you to kind of share with me is, do you see God? Do you know God? Do you see it other than a knowing in a way that you could explain it to me? Share with me a little bit of your understanding of that.
We are like you in the sense that we see the manifestation of God all around. We see the result of that which you are calling God is. Are you asking if God can be quantified through sight? You might say you could see energy.
I would think it would be like an energy.
Are you asking if we know that which you are calling God? And we want to keep clarifying that because a lot of different people mean a lot of different things when they use that word. And so
all that is.
That idea of source energy that has involvement in all that is the essence of pure positive energy, that has conscious awareness of every particle of everything that exists in the universe, that has the ability to focus infinitesimally or broadly, that has the ability to focus singularly or collectively, that has desire and expectation for a continuation of personal and global and universal well-being. Do we know that source? Indeed we do. And you know it too when you allow yourself to. Someone asked us this question just recently. She said her idea of God was sort of suffering, that through time she had different perspectives, and that especially since listening to us, she was sort of losing her place with it because she was actually preferring a more singular picture of someone more like a physical human who had your best interest at heart, who was always guiding you toward what would be best for you. And we say this source energy is all of that, but there is not a God that is wanting to make any decisions for you. It is an energy that knows that you are capable of making decisions and is rooting for you in the decisions that you are making. If you are wanting to know God, that's an easy thing because you can feel it. As Jerry and Esther are moving about, one of their favorite things to do is, while Esther drives, Jerry reads the mail. And when they come to the hotel every Saturday, they get a big box from the office and all of the personal letters and everything that they think might be significant to Jerry and Esther are in the box. And then for the next few hours, Jerry is joyously making his way through the box and reading bits and pieces to Esther. And frequently, as Esther is hearing someone's letter, goosebumps will just bubble all up and through her. And she will say, oh, that's a goosebumper. She almost always says to Jerry, are you getting them too? And usually if she is getting them, he is getting them. And they can feel this powerful connection that is not just the connection between the author of the letter and the hearers of the letter. It is that in the writing of the letter and in the reading of the letter, source energy has been brought into it. And there is a fully present moment happening where all that is having that moment in time. And so we think that there are many moments where you can know the fullness of that which you are calling God, while it can never be quantified in a visual or even spoken word.
The other thing that seems to be an issue of debate among people I know is that on the power of creating, that we feel that our inner being has something that it wants to experience or an agenda. And that being in this physical state, we work with our inner being. We're supposed to blend this, our physical self, with our inner being. And I've heard you say that there...
But before you go further, we want to clarify one little thing, and that is your inner being has an agenda of joyous expansion, but the details of it, all of the details of it, you get to choose.
We get to choose. So they just want the experience.
The
inner being wants the experience of
joyful
joy.
experience, and you get to choose all of the details of that, you see. In other words, you are not a puppet on a string that your inner being is attempting to guide any more than you are puppets on a string that God is trying to guide. In other words, people are doing the same thing to inner being now that they've been trying to do to God. It goes something like, I really want to be good. I'm not sure what good is. I'm not sure if I have the ability to make right decisions, so if you'll just tell me what good things to do, I'll do them. And then you just bicker and kill each other endlessly over who has the right idea.
Right.
You see. When what is really happening is you are an eternal being who eagerly came forth into this contrasting environment because you knew that it would provide this fresh new idea. It's what our friend was talking about earlier. It's what she's reaching for. She has tasted that delicious feeling of a desire being born within her, and now she wants more of it. And it is that feeling that you have when you come forth into your physical bodies. That's the spirit or the interest or the idea or the intent of you as you make the decision to come forth. I want to say to you, even if you, in your physical format, get in a state of not allowing, your inner being is still benefiting by your exposure to the contrast. And we also want to remind you that your inner being does not need any one of you specifically in order to have its joyous life experience. In other words, we're wanting to dispel here the feeling that you and the others that you are describing are having, that there is an agenda that somehow it is your job to fulfill. There is nothing like that. There is no agenda that
no agenda for
that
the
you
soul.
have. The soul has many intentions, but there is no even slight sense that you have some obligation to do this. However, does it feel like an obligation when you say, I'm on my way to such and such? Your friend says, where are you going? You say, I'm on my way to this really fun thing that I'm doing. Is there a difference between the way it feels or comes out when you say, I'm on my way to this really fun thing that I'm doing, or, yeah, I've got to go do this. I've got something I have to do. Humans want to lay over the soul part of them, I've got something I've got to do. When your soul is saying, I'm on my way to this really fun thing. That's the distinction that is different. And when you tap in to how your inner being feels, everything is personally desired. Everything is personally satisfied. You're on your way to upliftment. You're on your way to good times. You're on your way to expansion. You're on your way to exposure to more contrast. You're on your way to birthing of desires. You're on your way to birthing desires that you know you're not a match to, which gives you the opportunity to have all that fun of lining up with them. Then you're on your way to the manifestation of them, which means you're on your way to the new contrast, which means you're on the way to the birthing of another new exciting desire, which means you're on your way to focusing, which means you're on your way to alignment, which means you're on your way to more manifestations, which means you're on your way to more contrast, which, in other words, your inner spirit is just eager for the expanding, joyful experiences, you see. Your inner being never gathers stuff and drags it around and uses it as its justification for where I've been and how far I've come. Your inner being just stands with you where you are and reaches for the next fulfilling, satisfying thought and answers to no one except its own joyful inclination, which is what God is.
When you talk about all this joy and happiness, and this is all that the soul has come for, it's easy to understand, and yet you want to trip yourself up a little bit on that thought when you think, well, what are all these other people here doing that are into all the negative stuff? And
what's happened to them is that they have just found thoughts to practice thinking.
Did their spirit want to experience this? Does their inner being have some?
In the sense that it is the contrast that gives birth to the next desire, yes. But the reason that they are having the negative experience or the negative feeling is because they're having a non-inner being moment. In other words,
their physical self is taken over.
If they were having an inner being moment, they would be having a joyful moment. The fact that it is less than joyful means they've chosen something vibrationally outside of the moment their inner being is having, and in fact that is the reason it doesn't feel good, because they've gone off alone, so to speak. Not really, you can't. We're exaggerating that. But they've pinched enough of it off that it doesn't feel so good. That's why we're saying the answer is letting it back in. Well, I want to let it back in. How do I let it back in? By not thinking the thought that's keeping it out. By being aware of that thing you're doing that's not letting it in, you see.
I want to ask a question about aliens in relationship to this planet.
Interesting name, isn't it?
We're all aliens in
Alien,
some way.
but what is the definition of alien? When you say it is an alien substance, what do you mean?
It's just not something that's usually in this area.
So it's something that's weird. We're just sort of vibing out the vibration around alien, whether you're talking about an alien being or whether you're talking about something that is alien. Usually it means something that doesn't fit, something that isn't.
I'm talking about life that exists not on this planet.
Then say that.
Okay, life that exists.
In other words, it's a whole different vibration that comes forth when you say that.
We'll do life on it that exists off this planet, that's out in the universe.
You know there's more life that exists off this planet than on it?
Yeah, I believe that.
So you are really the aliens?
I'll buy that. Do you think that there will be other life coming onto this earth that's physically manifests itself different than we are, but life is life?
Not in the way that you're describing it, but here's what we think. We do know that when you have access to vibration, when you are able to give thought to something and therefore activate the vibration within you, then you have the ability to allow it or attract it or create it or manifest it in your experience. And so there is a lot of interplanetary, intergalactal, interuniversal thought, energy, therefore manifestation. In other words, your scientists, your inventors very often get much of their inspiration from thought that is not based within the planet itself. We do not expect, in fact, we know that it cannot be, that another vibrational conglomeration of thought or system could manifest something and through time and space bring it to you here, because vibrationally it cannot cross that time and space. So what happens is the vibration, which is thought, which has no boundaries, is intermixed, and then the manifestation comes from within you.
Okay.
That's why you do not find little spaceships or little bones from other galaxies. In other words, everything that you have the ability to imagine, this time-space reality in which you live has the ability to produce. But it is part of the same creative process. In other words, when you really want to get to it, where did this planet come from anyway? Where did this stuff come from? It was not rocketed in from other planets. Where did it come from? It is thought that has been thought upon longer. In other words, there is thought form, there is manifestation. And so, yes, you are co-creating because thoughts are without boundary. And as enough of you then are in vibrational harmony with the thought, then it becomes your manifestation. But you are not coming across the airwaves in spaceships.
Thank you. And I wanted to tell you one other thing, that if you know any other entities within your realm that are looking for a vehicle, I'm available.